Ladies and gentlemen, it is a curious thing to consider the plight of the individual who fights alone. And in our reflection today we turn to the woman, a figure at once vulnerable and invincible, who endures the battle without companions. Hers is a story not merely of survival, but of triumph, a testament to the strength found in solitude. The world, you see, admires the unity of armies and the camaraderie of causes. We celebrate great teams and laud collective effort, but we often overlook the singular warrior, the one who stands alone, unflinching in the face of adversity. The woman who fights alone bears this mantle with a unique dignity. She is often misunderstood, even pitied, but it is within her solitude that her strength is honed. True courage, dear friends, is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. A woman alone in her struggle may feel the weight of fear more acutely, for there are no comrades to share it. Yet it is in confronting this fear, rising again and again despite the crushing silence, that she becomes more than a survivor. She becomes a testament to the unyielding spirit of humanity. The strength that emerges from solitude is not the kind that seeks applause or thrives on acknowledgement. It is a quiet, steady power, often unremarked by those who equate strength with noise or spectacle. The woman who fights alone discovers this strength within herself, often without realizing it at first. She may begin her journey feeling unprepared, her circumstances thrust upon her, without warning or consent. Yet it is precisely in these moments of solitude, when no helping hand or comforting voice is near, that her true resilience begins to unfold. There is a peculiar paradox in human nature. We often underestimate our abilities until circumstances demand that we surpass them. When the woman who fights alone is stripped of external support, she must turn inward. What she finds there is not always pleasant. Solitude has a way of magnifying fears and doubts. Yet in facing these inner struggles, she learns to stand firm, to confront the shadows within her own mind, and to find a strength that is not dependent on anyone else. This inner strength is not a single, dramatic revelation. It is built incrementally, forged in the crucible of daily challenges. A woman fighting alone does not have the luxury of leaning on others for motivation or validation. Instead, she must learn to draw from a well of determination that seems, at times, nearly dry. But in reaching deeper, she often discovers reserves of strength she never knew she possessed. These reserves grow with use, like muscles strengthened through repeated effort. One of the profound aspects of fighting alone is the way it teaches self-reliance. There is no one to turn to for immediate answers, no ready solution provided by another's experience. In these moments, she must learn to think creatively, to problem-solve with the tools at her disposal. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to develop her resourcefulness, and over time she becomes adept at navigating the complexities of her situation. This skill, born of necessity, is a form of strength that cannot be easily taught. It must be lived and learned through the experience of solitude. Moreover, solitude has a clarifying effect. In the absence of external voices, the woman who fights alone learns to hear her own. Her priorities become sharper, her values more deeply rooted. Without the influence of others' opinions or expectations, she begins to understand what truly matters to her. This clarity is a gift that few recognize until they have spent time in solitude. It is the kind of strength that enables her to act decisively, guided by an internal compass rather than the shifting winds of external circumstances. Yet it is not merely the absence of others that defines her strength. It is also her ability to carry on despite the loneliness that solitude often brings. Human beings are social creatures, and the absence of connection can feel like a heavy burden. For the woman fighting alone, this loneliness can be an ever-present companion, but rather than succumbing to it, she learns to endure it, to make peace with it. She understands that solitude is not her enemy, but a space in which she can grow. In this way, her strength is not just physical or emotional, but spiritual as well, a deep, abiding resilience that sustains her even in the most trying times. There is a quiet beauty in the strength of solitude. It does not shout or demand recognition. It simply exists, steady and unyielding. The woman who fights alone embodies this strength in her every action. Her battles may be unseen, her victories uncelebrated by others, but they are no less significant. She knows the cost of each step forward, the effort required to keep going when the path is unclear, and in this knowledge she finds a profound sense of accomplishment. Her strength also inspires those who witness it, even if she does not intend it to. The sight of someone standing firm in the face of adversity, refusing to give up despite the odds, is a powerful reminder of the resilience inherent in all of us. It challenges the assumption that we cannot endure without others, showing instead that while support is valuable, it is not always necessary for survival. The woman who fights alone becomes a living testament to the idea that strength can emerge from the most unlikely places, even from the heart of solitude. Storm. Ultimately, the strength found in solitude is transformative. It changes the woman who fights alone, shaping her into someone who is not merely surviving but thriving in her own way. Her solitude becomes a source of empowerment rather than a limitation. She learns to rely on herself, to trust her own judgment, and to find joy in her own company. And though her journey may be solitary, her strength reverberates outward, touching the lives of others and leaving a lasting impact. In the end, the woman who fights alone is not truly alone, for she carries within her a strength that connects her to the shared human experience of struggle and triumph. Her solitude, far from isolating her, becomes a bridge to a deeper understanding of herself and the world around her. This is the power of solitude. It does not merely reveal strength, it creates it, and in doing so, it transforms the one who fights alone into someone extraordinary. Solitude. Courage, often misunderstood as the absence of fear, is in truth something much more profound and complex. It is the ability to move forward in spite of fear, uncertainty, or the overwhelming weight of challenges. For the woman who fights alone, courage takes on a particular poignancy. She has no one to share her fears with, no comforting reassurance from a companion, no collective effort to buoy her spirits. Yet her courage does not falter. Instead, it grows stronger and more resolute through the act of enduring and persevering on her own. Fear, in many ways, is a natural and even necessary part of life. It alerts us to danger, sharpens our senses, and prepares us for action. But fear can also be paralyzing, especially when faced alone. For the solitary fighter, courage is not about eradicating this fear, but about confronting it, understanding it, and ultimately refusing to let it dictate her actions. She feels the tremors of uncertainty as deeply as anyone, but instead of retreating, she steps forward. This act, choosing action over paralysis, is the essence of true courage. The woman who fights alone encounters moments of profound vulnerability. She may face physical challenges, emotional struggles, or moral dilemmas that test the very limits of her strength. These moments often come with an acute sense of isolation, a feeling that no one else can truly understand the depth of her struggle. Yet, it is within these moments of vulnerability that her courage becomes most evident. She chooses not to give in to despair, but to confront her challenges head-on. Her courage is not loud or flamboyant. It is quiet, steady, and deeply personal. One of the remarkable aspects of courage is its transformative power. When the woman who fights alone takes that first step into the unknown, despite her fears, she begins to change. Each act of bravery, no matter how small, builds upon the last, creating a foundation of confidence and resilience. Over time, she comes to see herself not as a victim of her circumstances, but as a conqueror of them. Her courage, once a reaction to fear, becomes an integral part of who she is, a defining characteristic that shapes her identity and her outlook on life. This transformation does not come easily. Courage, like any virtue, must be practiced and refined. The woman who fights alone does not wake up one day free of fear or doubt. Instead, she learns to face her fears incrementally, testing her limits and pushing beyond them. Each battle fought, whether won or lost, adds to her strength. The process is neither linear nor without setbacks, but it is undeniably powerful. Through persistence and determination, she becomes a living testament to the power of courage. An often overlooked element of courage is its relationship with choice. For the woman fighting alone, each day presents a series of decisions, many of which require great bravery. Will she face the challenges before her, or retreat into the safety of inaction? Will she confront her fears, or allow them to dominate her? These choices, while seemingly small, accumulate over time, shaping her character and her destiny. Courage, then, is not a single heroic act, but a series of deliberate choices, each one affirming her commitment to persevere. It is also important to recognize that courage is not a rejection of fear, but a redefinition of it. The woman who fights alone understands that fear is not her enemy, but a signal, a reminder of what is at stake. She learns to coexist with her fear, to use it as fuel rather than allowing it to become a roadblock. In this way, her courage is not about suppressing her emotions, but about channeling them into purposeful action. She feels the fear, acknowledges it, and moves forward anyway. This interplay between fear and action is where true bravery resides. And so the news cycle begins. The courage of the solitary fighter often goes unnoticed by others, but it is no less significant for its lack of recognition. In a world that tends to celebrate visible, collective achievements, the quiet acts of bravery performed in solitude are easily overlooked. Yet, these acts are perhaps the most profound of all, for they are undertaken without the expectation of reward or applause, or even the woman who fights alone does not seek external validation. Her courage is its own reward, a source of inner strength and pride that cannot be taken away. This inner courage also has a ripple effect. Though she may fight alone, her bravery inspires those who witness it, even indirectly. Her willingness to face her struggles serves as a beacon of hope and encouragement for others who may be facing their own challenges. In this way, her courage transcends her solitude, becoming a force for good in the wider world. It reminds us all that bravery is not reserved for the extraordinary, but is accessible to anyone willing to confront their fears and take action. In the end, the courage of the woman who fights alone is a powerful reminder of the human capacity for resilience and growth. It shows us that fear, while inevitable, does not have to be the final word. Through courage, we can overcome even the most daunting challenges, transforming our fears into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. The solitary fighter, in her quiet, unyielding bravery, teaches us that true courage is not about the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward in spite of it. And in making that choice, she not only transforms herself, but also inspires the world around her. Adversity is an inescapable part of life, a crucible in which the human spirit is tested and refined. For the woman who fights alone, adversity takes on a particularly sharp edge, as she faces her trials without the immediate support of others. Yet it is precisely in this solitude, in the unshared and often unseen moments of struggle, that adversity becomes not just a challenge, but a teacher. It reveals the depths of her character, strengthens her resolve, and shapes her into someone far stronger and wiser than she was before. The first lesson adversity teaches is one of endurance. The path of the solitary fighter is rarely smooth or straightforward. Obstacles arise, often unexpectedly, and each one demands her attention, energy, and ingenuity. At times, the weight of these challenges may feel unbearable, and the temptation to give up can be strong, but adversity insists that she press on. Even when the way forward is unclear, it teaches her that endurance is not about never faltering, but about always rising again, no matter how many times she stumbles. Each time she perseveres, her capacity for endurance grows, becoming a cornerstone of her strength. Adversity also sharpens her sense of self-awareness. In facing difficulties alone, the woman is forced to confront not only external challenges, but also her internal fears, doubts, and insecurities. There is no one to shield her from these inner battles, no distractions to divert her attention. She must look inward and grapple with the truths she finds there. This process, though painful, is profoundly illuminating. It helps her to understand her own limitations, as well as her untapped potential. Over time, she learns to distinguish between the fears that must be overcome and the instincts that can guide her, cultivating a deeper understanding of who she is and what she is capable of achieving. One of the most profound gifts of adversity is its ability to cultivate resilience. Resilience is not simply the ability to endure hardship, but to emerge from it stronger, more resourceful, and more determined. For the woman fighting alone, resilience is forged through countless small victories, solving a problem, surviving a setback, or simply making it through another day. These moments, though seemingly insignificant on their own, accumulate to create a profound inner strength. She becomes someone who does not just survive, but thrives in the face of difficulty, turning each challenge into an opportunity for growth. Adversity also teaches creativity and adaptability. When faced with a problem, the solitary fighter cannot rely on others for ready-made solutions. Instead, she must think creatively, finding new ways to overcome obstacles with the resources at hand. This process requires her to step outside of her comfort zone, to experiment and take risks. While not every attempt succeeds, each failure becomes a learning experience, teaching her how to approach future challenges more effectively. Over time, she becomes adept at adapting to changing circumstances, a skill that serves her well not only in her current struggles, but in all areas of her life. Another crucial lesson adversity imparts is the importance of perspective. When the woman who fights alone looks back on her trials, she often finds that what once seemed insurmountable was, in fact, a stepping stone to something greater. Adversity has a way of reframing priorities and clarifying what truly matters. The small inconveniences and petty frustrations that once consumed her attention begin to pale in comparison to the larger challenges she has faced. This shift in perspective not only helps her to navigate future difficulties with greater equanimity, but also deepens her appreciation for the moments of peace and joy that life offers. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of adversity is its ability to deepen wisdom. Wisdom is not simply knowledge or experience, but the ability to see beyond the surface of things, to understand the deeper truths that govern life. The woman who fights alone gains this wisdom through her struggles. She learns to see challenges not as punishments or misfortunes, but as opportunities for growth. She comes to understand that pain, while unpleasant, is often a necessary part of transformation. This wisdom gives her a sense of purpose, helping her to see her struggles in a larger context and to find meaning even in the midst of difficulty. Adversity also fosters a sense of independence and self-reliance. When there is no one to lean on, the woman must learn to depend on herself. This self-reliance is not about rejecting help or refusing to admit vulnerability, but about recognizing her own strength and taking responsibility for her own life. It is about discovering that she has within her everything she needs to face her challenges, and that her worth is not determined by her ability to conform to others' expectations, but by her ability to remain true to herself. Finally, adversity has a way of connecting the woman who fights alone to a greater sense of humanity. While her struggles may be uniquely her own, they are also part of the shared human experience. In facing her difficulties, she gains a deeper empathy for others who are going through their own trials. She comes to see herself not as isolated, but as part of a larger tapestry of resilience and perseverance. This sense of connection, though intangible, provides her with a source of strength and solidarity that transcends her solitude. In the end, adversity is not something to be feared or avoided, but embraced as a necessary part of growth. For the woman who fights alone, it becomes a teacher, a guide, and a catalyst for transformation. It shapes her into someone who is not only stronger, but also wiser, more resilient, and more deeply attuned to the truths of life. Through adversity, she discovers that her greatest strength lies not in the absence of struggle, but in her ability to rise above it, time and time again. Society has long grappled with the meaning and perception of isolation. Too often, solitude is misunderstood as a sign of weakness or failure, as though the absence of companionship reflects an inherent flaw in the individual. Yet, this perception overlooks the profound strength and growth that can arise from solitude. The woman who fights alone embodies this reality. The woman who fights alone embodies this reality. Her isolation is not a mark of her inadequacy, but a stage upon which her resilience, determination, and independence are most vividly displayed. However, the societal lens through which we view solitude often distorts its true value, creating misconceptions that must be challenged and reframed. One of the most pervasive misunderstandings about isolation is the assumption that it equates to loneliness or despair. While it is true that solitude can bring moments of loneliness, It is not defined by them. The woman who fights alone experiences a different kind of solitude, one that can be a source of strength rather than sorrow. In the quiet spaces where others might feel discomfort, she finds clarity. Solitude means that it is when we are alone that something happens which teaches us that we might have away from the noise of the world. She is free to reflect, to connect with her own thoughts and desires, and to explore the depths of her character. Solitude becomes a sanctuary, a place where she can nurture her inner self without distraction or external influence. Society also tends to equate isolation with vulnerability, as though being alone inherently makes a person weaker or less capable. Yet the woman who fights alone proves the opposite. Her solitude demands that she becomes stronger, more resourceful, and more self-reliant. With no one else to depend on, she must find solutions to her challenges on her own, honing her ability to adapt and persevere. This kind of strength is not easily understood by those who have never walked such a path. Oh, it is quiet, unassuming, and deeply personal, a strength that is not displayed for others, but lived and experienced in every decision and action. Another common misconception is that isolation limits a person's potential for growth. People often assume that success is a product of collaboration, that the greatest achievements come from teamwork and shared effort. While there is undeniable value in working with others, the woman who fights alone demonstrates that growth and achievement are equally possible, if not more profound, in solitude. Without external pressures or influences, she is free to pursue her goals on her own terms, to define success for herself, and to learn from her experiences without interference. This independence fosters a unique kind of growth, one that is deeply authentic and aligned with her true self. It is also worth addressing the way society often views the woman who fights alone, with pity or condescension. To outsiders, her solitude may appear as a burden, something to be fixed or remedied. They might wonder why she chooses to face her challenges alone or offer unsolicited advice about seeking help. What they fail to see is that her solitude is not always a choice, but a necessity, a reality she has embraced with grace and strength. She does not need pity, she needs understanding. Her journey is not about avoiding connection, but about navigating her path with the resources she has, proving that isolation can be a source of empowerment rather than limitation. At the heart of this misunderstanding lies a deeper societal discomfort with solitude. In a world that values constant connection, the idea of being alone is often met with suspicion or unease. We are taught to seek validation from others, to measure our worth by external standards, and to avoid the silence that solitude brings. Yet, it is in this silence that the woman who fights alone discovers her greatest strength. Away from the distractions of the world, she learns to trust herself, to listen to her own intuition, and to find peace in her own company. Her solitude becomes a source of liberation, freeing her from the need to conform to societal expectations. Solid, safe. There is also a tendency to underestimate the depth of relationships that can be formed in solitude. While the woman who fights alone may not have a large social circle or a constant stream of companionship, she often develops a profound connection with herself and with something greater. This could be a deep spiritual faith, a sense of purpose, or a connection to nature or art. These relationships, though less visible than traditional friendships, are no less meaningful. They provide her with a sense of belonging and a source of inspiration that sustains her through her challenges. To truly understand and appreciate the strength of the woman who fights alone, society must reframe its perspective on solitude. Instead of viewing isolation as a deficiency, we must recognize it as an opportunity for growth, reflection, and self-discovery. The woman who embraces her solitude is not turning away from the world, but engaging with it on her own terms. She is not weaker for being alone, she is stronger for facing her challenges without external support. Her isolation does not diminish her, it elevates her, revealing the depth of her character and the breadth of her potential. Ultimately, the misconceptions about isolation speak more to societal fears than to the reality of solitude. We fear being alone because it forces us to confront ourselves, to face our insecurities, and to grapple with the unknown. Yet, the woman who fights alone shows us that solitude is not something to be feared, but embraced. This is the peace where the misconceptions become confusion and socializing, emergence. It is a powerful space for transformation, a proving ground for courage and resilience, and a reminder that strength is not always found in numbers, but often within the individual. By challenging these misconceptions, we can learn to see solitude not as a limitation, but as a source of profound strength and growth. The triumph of the human spirit is a theme that resonates universally, but it takes on a uniquely profound meaning in the life of the woman who fights alone. Her journey, marked by solitude and adversity, is a testament to the resilience, determination, and unyielding strength that define the human capacity to overcome. Her victories, whether great or small, stand as powerful reminders that the spirit can endure and triumph even under the weight of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Her life, shaped by trials and perseverance, becomes not only an inspiration to others, but a beacon of hope for those who face their own battles. At the heart of her triumph is the extraordinary ability to persist in the face of obstacles. This persistence is not a single act of defiance, but a continuous, ongoing effort to rise above her circumstances. Each day presents its own challenges, and each day she makes the choice to confront them. These decisions, often made in quiet moments without fanfare or recognition, define her strength. Her triumph lies not in avoiding struggle, but in confronting it head-on, proving that perseverance can transform even the most daunting trials into stepping stones toward victory. The end of the story is the dedication of the deficient treatment cell to be. Her journey also highlights the importance of self-belief. In the absence of external validation or encouragement, the woman who fights alone must find confidence within herself. This self-belief is not easily won. It is built through experience, through moments of doubt overcome, and through challenges faced and surmounted. Each success, no matter how small, reinforces her understanding of her own capabilities. Over time, she comes to see herself not as a victim of her circumstances, but as the author of her own story. This internal conviction is what drives her forward, enabling her to continue striving even when the odds are against her. The triumph of her spirit is also deeply tied to her ability to find meaning in her struggles. Adversity, for all its pain and difficulty, often serves as a crucible for transformation. The woman who fights alone learns to see her challenges not as senseless burdens, but as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. This shift in perspective is a key element of her triumph. By finding purpose in her pain, she transforms her struggles into a source of strength and wisdom. Her ability to draw meaning from hardship not only sustains her, but also enables her to inspire others who witness her journey. Another remarkable aspect of her triumph is her capacity for renewal. Life's challenges often leave scars, both visible and invisible, but the woman who fights alone does not allow these scars to define her. Instead, she embraces them as symbols of her resilience and as reminders of the battles she has overcome. Her ability to heal, to adapt, and to move forward in spite of her wounds is a powerful testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Renewal does not mean erasing the past, but integrating it into a stronger, more resilient present. This process of renewal is an integral part of her triumph, reflecting her ability to turn pain into power. Her journey also underscores the profound connection between triumph and hope. Hope is not a passive emotion, but an active force that sustains her through her darkest moments. It is the belief that tomorrow can be better, that her efforts are not in vain, and that her struggles will eventually lead to a greater good. This hope, even when it is fragile and flickering, is what keeps her moving forward. Her triumph is not just in achieving her goals, but in maintaining her hope and determination along the way. It is this hope that makes her victories so inspiring, as it reminds us all of the power of believing in the possibility of change. The triumph of the woman who fights alone is also characterized by her ability to inspire others, often without realizing it. Her quiet strength, her perseverance, and her resilience resonate deeply with those who witness her journey. She becomes a living example of what is possible when we refuse to give up, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Her struggles and victories serve as a source of encouragement, reminding others that they too have the capacity to overcome their own challenges. In this way, her triumph extends beyond her own life, creating a ripple effect that touches and uplifts those around her. It is also important to note that her triumph is not defined by perfection. She faces setbacks, makes mistakes, and experiences moments of doubt and fear. But these imperfections do not diminish her strength. They enhance it. They show that her triumph is not about being flawless, but about being human, about striving, learning, and growing in the face of adversity. Her ability to embrace her imperfections and to continue moving forward despite them is a key element of her success. It reminds us that triumph is not about achieving an ideal, but about embracing the journey with all its challenges and complexities. Ultimately, the triumph of the woman who fights alone is a celebration of the indomitable human spirit. Her journey is a reminder that strength is not measured by the absence of struggle, but by the ability to persevere through it. Her victories, whether large or small, reflect the power of resilience, self-belief, and hope. She teaches us that even in the face of solitude and adversity, it is possible to rise, to grow, and to triumph. Her story is not just her own. It is a universal testament to the strength and potential that reside within us all. In reflecting on the journey of the woman who fights alone, we are reminded of the profound strength, resilience, and wisdom that emerge from solitude and struggle. Her life is not defined by the challenges she faces, but by the spirit with which she confronts them. She is a testament to the truth that adversity, far from being a force of defeat, can be a catalyst for transformation. Through her endurance, she demonstrates the power of persistence, because through her self-reliance she reveals the richness of independence, and through her triumphs, she inspires others to believe in their own capacity for overcoming. Her story challenges societal perceptions of isolation and reframes solitude as a space of strength and growth. It teaches us that the fight alone is not a sign of weakness, but of extraordinary courage. It invites us to see that the quiet victories, the ones achieved without applause or recognition, are often the most profound. Her journey underscores that the human spirit, when tested and refined, can rise to heights of wisdom, purpose, and triumph that inspire everyone who witnesses it. As we close, let us carry with us the lessons she embodies. Let us honor the quiet strength of those who walk their paths alone, and recognize the deep well of courage it takes to persist without support. Let us strive to build a society that values both independence and connection, one that sees the beauty in every struggle and the worth in every individual. Above all, let us be reminded that, within each of us, lies the potential to endure, to grow, and to triumph, no matter the challenges we face.